welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my last 5 reads for you. I'm liking the fact that I'm getting back to these 5 reads instead of 10 reads because I feel like I know exactly what I want to say about most of these books and I'm not going to forget about them. I've been doing pretty well with reading, so I feel like they're coming at a quicker pace as well. So let's get started with the fact that I have officially decided to DNF The Defense. I'm not loving it. I showed it to you in like a wrap up ago / like 2 vlogs ago where I was trying to read this and I decided, you know what, it's just not worth the effort. It's not worth my time if I'm not enjoying it. I think I still might potentially pick up 13, but I think I might try to grab 13 from the library because obviously if I got this one and didn't like it, there's a good potential that I won't like 13 either. But this is definitely getting DNF'd and probably unhauled at some point. I also DNF'd another book this week, and that was DC Trip, which is so sad because I literally just bought this. But luckily I got it for $1 at the library. I had been looking forward to this book for such a long time, so it was so disappointing to like finally have it in my hands and like try to read it and not like it. So it's about this teacher who like kind of had a rough experience her first year teaching, so she decides that she wants to take the students on this trip to DC with this other teacher to kind of like make up for her previous year. But the writing style is bizarre to begin with. Like, it's just very wordy and very chunky and just not nice to get through. And then this teacher was just infuriating a little bit, just like the way she was. And like I didn't get very far. I think I got like a chapter in and just like maybe I got further than a chapter, but like got like 20 something pages in, and just like the way she talks is just, I don't like her at all, and she just rubbed me the wrong way, and I couldn't. So I'm glad that I got it for $1 and I never paid full price for it like I was originally going to do. So I learned my lesson at least, but this was really disappointing. So this is also getting DNF'd and unhauled eventually. Now onto the books that I actually read. And I want to say every single book in this pile was a 4-star read. So that's pretty awesome. So as much as I would love some 5 stars sprinkled in here, to have all 5 be 4 stars, I'll take it. So the first book that I read last week was How to Hack Heartbreak by Kristen Rockway. I heard about this from Shelby at Shelby Taggart Reads. She got this as a e-arc from NetGalley, and I tried to get it from NetGalley and I didn't get approved. So I was like, you know what, when this comes out, I'm going to get it. So I pre-ordered it, and this came out in July. And so I finally got to it. And it's about this girl. She works for this tech company, and they kind of, they like support people who make apps. And they like fund them, and then they like have to like prove themselves, and if they don't prove themselves by a certain time, then they get let go. If they can prove themselves, then they'll get like more money towards their app. So she kind of works as like the IT, so she like works and she like fixes people's computers and things like that. So she's kind of like a behind the scenes kind of person, and she's been trying to go on all these dates. Of course, now the dog wants to bark. I don't know what she's barking at. So she goes on all these horrendous dates. She goes on this one date, and he stands her up and doesn't show up. And she ends up seeing this guy from the tech company that she works for who is trying to get an app approved. He comes to the restaurant that she's at, and like they're kind of flirting, and all of a sudden like this girl shows up, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? He's flirting with me, and now he has a girlfriend. Like, this is ridiculous." So she kind of like out of spite like starts this like app called Jerk Alert, and when you go on Jerk Alert, you can put like links to this profiles and like things like that, like from these dating apps to these people, and kind of just like bash them and be like, don't go out with this guy sends like naked pictures, don't talk to this guy does this, don't talk to this guy, he'll stand you up. And so she kind of out of spite like creates this thing, and it kind of blows up. Like she sends it to her friends like, ha ha ha, look what I did. And all of a sudden it just like spreads like wildfire. She finds out while she's like doing this behind the scenes, like nobody knows it's her, that the guy that she's kind of interested in is on this site saying that he's not that great of a guy after all. So it's kind of like, do I listen to this app? Like I created it for a reason, but like I really like this guy and he's not showing the signs that this person's talking about. And it was a really good romance. I gave it 4 stars. It was one of those things, again, where, like, I just didn't have a, like, complete love factor for it, but it definitely was a light, easy read, easy to get through. I remember I read it on, like, the first day of, like, going back to work when, like, I was exhausted, and I was able to go fly through, which means that it definitely reads quickly. There's even, like, some sections where you see, like, articles and, like, text messages and emails and things like that, and so it was really easy to get through. There was no love factor for me, and the main character could be kind of annoying a little bit. After that, I picked up A Stranger in the House by Sherry LaPena, because that was when I picked up DC Trip, and DC Trip wasn't working, so I was like, I need something that I know for sure is going to work for me. So I picked up this one. This is the only Sherry LaPena book that I had not read yet. I've read all of her books, so The Couple Next Door, which I loved. I heard this one wasn't so great, so I skipped this one. Read The Unwanted Guest. Really enjoyed that one. And then I read Someone We Know. Yeah, Someone We Know, which is her newest release last week. So I was like, you know what? This is the only one I haven't read by her. I've enjoyed all the other ones, so even if this one has mixed reviews, I still need to read it. And I had gotten this one at the library for, like, again, $1. So it was like, if I like it, great. If I don't, whatever. It's 300 pages. I'll get through it. And I have to say, again, this book had a ton of mixed reviews, and I was avoiding it for no reason. So this follows a woman. Like, in the prologue, you find out that she gets a phone call, and she's racing in her car, and she gets in a car accident, and she loses all of her memory. Her husband, like, gets home and is trying to find her. He has no idea where she went. She's got no phone. She's got no keys. She's got the keys, obviously. She didn't lock the front door. She didn't take her purse. She didn't take her phone. Like, what's going on? Where'd my wife go? And so they're trying to figure out, like, why was she in the car? Why was she recklessly driving? A dead body turns up that they kind of could potentially connect to her. There's freaky neighbors, and it was actually really good. I gave it 4 stars. Again, there was nothing that, like, pushed it over the edge that was, like, so unique that I just, like, had to love it and give it 5 stars, but it definitely was still good. There's like a trope that happens at the end of this that I just, like, am so over, but I don't want to say it because that's silly, because that would be spoiling it, but for the most part, like I said, really enjoyed, so gave it 4 stars. Glad that I didn't completely avoid it. Now I just need to find it in hardcover, because all my other Sherrys are hardcover as paperback, so now I want a hardcover to match, so that's my next job to do. The next book that I read, I'm trying to get it on my phone really quick, is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm probably pulling up this cover for no reason. You probably know exactly what it looks like. So this is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Another book that I've been actively avoiding. 3 back-to-back books I've been actively avoiding. The next one as well. Colleen Hoover is one of those authors that I feel like people, like, rave about. They either rave about her or they hate her. And I feel like for some reason it's just put this, like, X on her. Like, I'm never going to read her just because I don't want to find out where I, like, fall on that. So I've been avoiding her. But everybody's been saying Verity is a thriller. It's so different than everything else that she's written. Like, you gotta try it. And then it was on sale for 99 cents on Kindle one day. And I was like, I pay 99 cents for it. And I either love it, I hate it, never get to it. It was $1. So I picked it up. And I actually really enjoyed it. I also gave it, like I said, all these books are 4 stars for me. This follows an author. Her mother has just passed away. She's kind of about to get evicted from her apartment. She's got, like, no money. Her mom kind of was like, if you take care of me, like, you'll have money. But her mom kind of lied to her. There is no money. So she ends up, like, trying to run to this, like, meeting with this publisher and her agent. And they tell her that they want her to write the last 3 books in this really popular series, because Verity is a famous author who unfortunately was in an accident, and they don't want people knowing that Verity is in this, like, severe accident. Like, people know that she's hurt, but they don't realize that she is she's, like, in a medically induced coma. Like, she kind of, like, she doesn't talk, she doesn't write, she doesn't do anything. So, like, they want her to, in Verity's place, write the last 3 books of her novel, and in order to do so, you need to come to our spooky, freaky house to look at all of her paperwork to try to figure out where she was going to go with the series, and we will pay you tons and tons of money if you finish the series. So, of course, there's a little bit of romance in there. There's spookiness. There's been a lot of, like, weird things that went on with this family. It used to be a family with 3 kids. Now there's only 1 left because there was twins who are dead. And so she starts revealing weird things as she's, like, looking into this family and looking into how she can write this book. And I have to say that there were some really, really, really gruesome, dark parts that were really hard for me to read personally. Like, it felt like an attack on, like, not attack on me, but, like, it was just, like, one of those things where, like, if I was in a different situation, I might not have been as bothered by it. But at this particular moment in my life, it bothered me. So I was going through this part where I'm like, do I even rate this book? Do I give it 3 stars? But I didn't want to, like, have my own personal effects take on this, like, rating. And then by the time I got to the ending, it all made sense of why the gruesome, crazy, gross things that I was, like, having issues with happened. So then I was like, never mind, this book is 4 stars. I can't down it just because of my own thinking in that regard. And then I did have some other problems with it. There are some things that I could definitely nitpick about it. So that's why I could not give it 5 stars, because, again, there was an annoying trope that kind of happens at the end that I was like, why? And the main character is kind of annoying again as well. She makes really stupid mistakes and really stupid comments, and she just is. So unfortunately, I did not necessarily love this book, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I would potentially pick up Colleen Hoover again in the future, which says something. Then I picked up One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is another book that I've been avoiding, and not completely actively avoiding because I haven't had it on my shelf for very long, but I had been avoiding picking it up because a lot of people were saying that it misrepresented things and that it was really not so great, and I was like, do I really want to pick it up if everybody hates it? And I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I found it to be pretty realistic. I see why people had issues with it. There's people who have issues with it when because of the way it handles an I always get tongue-tied with this. LGBTQA+. Did I say that right? I get so tongue-tied with that. The community is not handled as appropriately as it should be. So I could see why people have issues with it. But for me, with Breakfast Club meets murder mystery, I found it very fast-paced. I had no idea who did it. I enjoyed it as a YA novel, so I gave it 4 stars. I don't really know how much more to talk about it without spoiling it. These people end up in detention together, and while they're in detention, a student ends up dying from anaphylactic shock, and all of a sudden all the eyes turn to all the other people that were in the room as to who could have potentially killed him, and it alternates perspectives. And like I said, it was a nice read. That there's a companion novel coming out in January that I would like to read, because I just found it to be exactly what I needed it to be. Quick-paced, didn't know who did it until the end, and I enjoyed it. Then the last book that I read in this 5 reads is One Little Secret by Kate Houlihan. I've read 2 other books by her. I've read The Widower's Wife and The Lies She Told. They're behind me. They were both Book of the Month books. This one did not come out as Book of the Month, so it's really funny because it's like so little in comparison to the other books that I own by her. But this one came out again last month. I pre-ordered this one when I realized that it wasn't going to be on Book of the Month. And it's about these 3 couples. They go to a beach house while all of their children are away at camp. They decide to like go in on this like Hampton beach house. And one of the women ends up turning up dead. And so it alternates perspectives of like what happened like the day of, like leading up to this murder, and then it follows like the day they find her murder and like the detective who's trying to solve this case. I gave this 4 stars because the beginning was very confusing. It doesn't alternate perspectives, but you do get all the perspectives, but like it doesn't like tell you like chapter 1, Johnny's perspective, chapter 2, Susie's perspective. It like just intermingles it, which made it really hard because there were 3 couples, which means that there are 6 characters. Plus, they referenced all of their children. There's also the detective and like people that she works around with and her family. So like and then there's like this whole like potential like rape thing that's going on. So there's other people. It was so hard to keep everybody straight and be like, who's married to who, whose children are what, like what is everybody's storyline. It was hard to keep track of. There was just too much like mind work that had to go into this, that it was driving me crazy. And then I got to the halfway point and there was something that happened and I was like, this is just too convenient. I can't handle this. But after that, like it just like flew by. I got sucked in. You suspected everybody. You had no idea what the motive was at any point in time. And so I enjoyed this. Like I said, gave it 4 stars. It just was, it took a lot of mind work to get into it. And I don't know if that was just me because I'm not focused on anything anymore, or if it was the book, but it was a good read, just nothing that I loved because it did take me a while to get into it. But for a 310-page book, you don't want it to be like that. So unfortunately, I had to give it 4 stars. But for the most part, I did rather enjoy it. So not too shabby. Woo! I was going to pick up all 5 books and then they all fell. 5 books. And I gave all of them 4 stars. So I have to say that I've been having a pretty good reading week. So let me know what you've been reading down below. Let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them, or if you want to read them, or let me know any of your thoughts because I always love responding to comments. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, everybody.